Hello and welcome to Solomon's Life and Business series of videos that we promised you. We're excited to bring you some information on what it is that we do and how we're going to help you achieve your goals.
And Ken, before you jump in to your topic, why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself?
Okay, Bill, so when I got started in the business industry, I was actually working. I have a degree in electronics and computer engineering. I worked for a large corporation for just under 17 years. But while I was there, I began to realize that I didn't have full control like I really wanted over my life, over my income, and ultimately the company decided where I lived, what I had, the things I could own, and I'm living in America, but I'm not really free. So I really started thinking about it, and something that hit me years ago was the term multiple streams of income. And I really began to look into that. So I started businesses. And for the last roughly 25 years, I've been a business owner. I was able to actually walk into the corporation I was working for and quit with no package, but a lot of vision. And I've owned a business ever since then, owned a business online, became a public speaker, author, and really beginning to enjoy and love life as I continue down my journey.
That sounds exciting. Was it all fun and games?
No, it has not been all fun and games. It's been a roller coaster. And I want to address some of that also because it is a roller coaster. You're going to have your ups and downs, and when you start pursuing your dream or your goals, sometimes it feels like it's harder. Because not only are you dealing with life, but you're also dealing with this dream or this vision that you have, and now you're on two separate journeys. So it's been exciting. We'll say exciting.
An entrepreneurial life definitely is exciting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Ken, I'm looking at your first topic here. It's fear. And when I was getting into the realm of entrepreneurialism, this is something that I definitely felt. And this actually almost completely stopped me from even trying. So can you help us really understand what's going on? Where does this fear come from?
Well, a lot of times fear is something that is self-imposed. I always use the term that fear stands for false evidence appearing real. A lot of times we're afraid, but there's nothing really there that's tangible that we can hold that we're actually afraid of. So it's really all up in your head. It's really what are you thinking? And a lot of times as I made the decision to quit my job, fear did come into play. But what overcame the fear was the vision that I have, that I want to go and where I want to go, the things I want to do, the life I want to live. And that really kind of moved the fear out of the way. This is what I always tell people about fear. Fear's got two definitions. You can face everything and rise, or you can forget everything and run. But here's the awesome part. You get to make the decision. See, I think people forget that if they just simply decide on what it is that they want to do, and they have a specific purpose and a specific why, then that should actually kind of move them into action to go after those dreams. So with Solomon's Life and Business Development, that is one of the things that we will definitely, through our navigator, help you overcome.
Absolutely.
Got a question here then. When we're looking then at fear and we're saying overcoming, if we're going to tell our viewers, what is there something mechanical? Is there something that I can put into action in the process to help me stay in remembrance of conquering fear?
Yes. If you're taking notes, I suggest you grab a piece of paper and write this stuff down. One of the things that you can do is addressing the fears, being honest with yourself. Write down your 10 biggest fears when it comes to going after your goals. You not only just need to write them down, but be honest with yourself. You need to start figuring out who you are first. Once you can identify who you are, you can identify the actual fears that you have, then what we can do is through the navigation process, we actually help you overcome that list that you just created.
But what is it actually that I'm focusing on instead of the fears?
So when it comes to the focus, what you're going to need to do is really think about your purpose. Your purpose and your why is what's going to get you past the fear. that is basically going to be the catalyst that we're going to utilize to help you get to that next level of life, whether it be a business or whether it be a degree that you're trying to get that you just don't feel you can do. So when you write down this list of these fears that you have, I say be honest, because a lot of times we don't want to admit that we're afraid of certain things. And that admission is the beginning of the ending of that actual fear.
When you're trying to conquer these fears, okay, so you're keeping those things in mind. I know that when I want to conquer something, I take just the opposite. Now, do this and test it only on your own mirror, but I actually take a Sharpie and I write on the mirror in my bathroom just the opposite of what the fear is.
Yes.
You know, so that and also one of the things that I think that we need to keep in mind, as you brought out, is what is the end goal? Yeah. You know,
Yes.
I talk about this as a big audacious goal, a bag. So you know what's there in your bag. What are you keeping, right?
Exactly. And a lot of times we're afraid to even fill that bag up. We're afraid to even go after that. Yeah. We're so used to what the norm is that we insist on following and being behind 95% of people, and we don't realize, or we refuse to realize, that following them does not make us happy. It just puts us in line with what they're doing, but it also puts us in line with what they're receiving. If you do what 95% of the people do, you will receive what 95% of the people receive. So beating that fear, overcoming those obstacles is what we're going to help you do, because that's going to send you in a completely different direction. And it's going to be scary. You're going to be on a roller coaster, but think of the end in mind. If you can think of the end result and design that first, it will help you get over your fears.
Oh, yeah, that's really good. So when we're tackling fear, I see that here. Your next topic here is knowledge. Now, does the knowledge interplay with the fear, or are we just talking about a whole nother area we're walking into?
Well, when it comes to knowledge, through the years as I started businesses, I must admit I didn't know all there was to know. I made a decision. So for every business, I wasn't concerned about what I knew. What I was concerned about is what I could learn. See, knowledge, they say knowledge is key or knowledge is power. No, it's just potential power. If you can't take knowledge and education and put it into action, it's just like hanging a picture on a shelf. Really nice to look at, but you're not really part of it.
Right.
So when it comes to knowledge, part of the fear and not having the knowledge is what people really key in on. My suggestion to you is don't worry about not knowing. Keep the end in mind, because once you begin your journey, you're going to learn. Just like in college, we don't know all there is to know when we take classes, but the key is you got to go to class, take the action,
right,
and you have to actually listen, and then you learn. That learning turns into knowledge. Then what we do is we help you take that knowledge and we help you take action.
That's a good point. So at Solomins, and part of the reason why we chose the name was that it's taking that knowledge and adding wisdom to it, so that you're not wasting a lot of time, that you're able to take these really cool shortcuts. You know, as Garrett, as Ken was talking about knowledge, one of the things that came to my mind is when you were starting Ninja Park, did you know everything you needed to do?
Absolutely not. What it was for me is that there was fear, there was lack of knowledge, there was lack of experience, there was lack of people even rooting for me. Now, really what it was that my desire to achieve this and make this impact outweighed the fear and the lack of knowledge and the lack of people who are really rooting for me. So.
Oh, okay. So then, if I don't know what to do a week from now for my business, I've got a lot to do today. Does that? I mean, how do I handle that?
I think I think the thing to do there is just look at what's most important. What do you need to get done first? You know, what's something that has to happen right away to even get this moving. You don't need to know what's going to happen 3 years down the road.
Right.
You know, you don't need to worry about it right now. You know, we can strategize, we can consider some barriers, but really, what do you need to do to get started?
Right.
You know, just get started. Take the action and get started.
So Ken, then when I have knowledge, then this is not a difficult answer, but it's one that a lot of us stumble on over because if you're like me, you like to collect a lot of knowledge, and a lot of knowledge, and you'll collect a lot of knowledge.
Sure.
But nothing changes.
Right.
How do I get the change?
So the change happens with action. One of the things that I really like to discuss is what are the daily steps, your daily method of operation.
Okay.
What are you doing every day to move you closer to your goal? And that's where the action comes in. And what I love about what we're doing is we're actually mentoring and we're coaching people on a regular basis to help them stay on the right path so they take the actions to get to their goal.
It's interesting you touched on something, mentoring and coaching. Gosh, is that really important?
Mentoring coaching is really important. So through my journey, a lot of mistakes were made. I made a lot of mistakes. And I've had to, my learning curve is really big, if you will, because I didn't have the mentor or the coach to say, hey, do this, don't do that. I just did it, failed, learned, failed. And ultimately, a lot of times that is the journey to success, but having a mentor or a coach there would have eased the pain quite a bit. It would have helped me understand that, yes, I'm going to make some mistakes, but I've got a coach or a mentor that will help me and walk me through the process.
You touched on something I thought was interesting. Mistakes. One of the biggest things, like in your first topic, fear that people have is that they have the fear that they're going to make a mistake.
Yes.
I mean, that freezes them. They stop.
Yes.
You know. So what should they really be doing?
It's actually a fear of failure. If you're taking notes, write this down. FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. See, to be successful, we have to understand that you're going to fail, but it's okay. The problem that we have, and I don't know if it's a societal thing or just the way things were, is that we have this process and it's already been laid out for us. We're going to, graduate from high school, then we go to college and we get this degree, and then we're going to set out to get this really great job and end up with this great pension and this great retirement. Here's the thing, that age is gone. It's completely gone.
Yeah.
So you have to get used to and understand that failing is a part of success.
Yeah.
When you can understand that failing is okay, then it reduces the amount of fear that you have or that you put on yourself, because now you know that every other successful person has failed.
Because what a lot of people do is they fail and then they go in the back and they lick their wounds.
Sure.
Is that right?
Well, it happens. It happens. The one thing that you have to keep in mind is the mindset of the person you are and the person you're becoming. And that's really where a coach or a mentor comes into play. Hey, listen, Solomins Life and Business, we're here to kind of give you that kick, that nudge that you're going to need when you start feeling down in yourself, when you start feeling bad about yourself. We know it's going to happen because we've experienced it. But wisdom is not just knowledge. Wisdom is when you can learn from others' mistakes.
Ooh.
So with us, what we simply do is I'm always willing to let you know that, hey, I made mistakes. This is where I made my mistake. I need you not to just get educated, not just get the knowledge, but gain the wisdom from the mistakes that I made, because my goal is to help you achieve your goals.
That's really good. So before we move on to your next section of environment, I want to look at just a wrap up here when we talk about fear and knowledge.
Okay.
So when people know where they need to go, there's no reason. Well, there's little reason to fear unless that the path they know is going to have real problems.
Sure.
Right. And we talked briefly about how people are afraid, and then they go and lick the wounds that they failed. But in reality, they should be analyzing why they failed, asking key questions, and of course we have a whole mastermind course on how to ask questions to yourself and to others. But the real point being is that fail, analyze it, and do again.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Exactly. So, Kim, when you said fail really stands for first attempt in learning, that kind of helped me come to a realization. There's really only two ways to really fail, and the first one is to not try.
Right.
Well, that's a failure.
That's a
you,
failure.
You didn't try. The second one is to try and fail and not learn anything from it.
Right.
So it sounds like those are the really only ways to fail. Otherwise, it's just the first attempt in learning.
That's all you're going to do. If you do not try, you've actually failed. Yeah. So our goal is to not just get you there, but we need you to understand that you're going to have to try. So we're going to sit down with you, and we're going to create this navigator. We're going to create this path, but we're not going to be creating it. We're going to assist you because you know the path that you want to be on. Right. You know where you want to go. You just have to identify it. Once you've identified it, now we need you to decide that that's where you want to go. Once that decision is made, then we're going to help you every step of the way. So you have no fear. Just know that if you fail, you've just learned. Now imagine the amount of learning that you can get.
That's right. And if it, if it's not convenient or we somehow don't match up with you, get somebody in your corner there. Make sure that you can get yourself a mentor. Mentors help you through not having the same mistakes. Coaches are different. Coaches help you become the best you can be.
Yes.
And they enable you to gain access to your subconscious. All right, and so that's a really important, just to kind of define the difference between these, because it's really important. People get them messed up all the time.
Right.
Now, environment. What do you mean environment? I mean nature or what?
Right. So when it comes to environment, here's something that we tend to lay blame on. Right. The environment we're in, where I was born, the state I live in, my family issues, everything around us. We tend to point fingers at our environment. Now, here are the facts. Environment, yes, it will have an effect. But when you look at the environment you're in, and some of the things you may be going through, whether it be life, personal, social, emotional, the things that are around you, they will affect you. But you get to decide how they affect you. So when it comes to environment, can you take from your environment and utilize that, leverage it to your advantage? See, a lot of times we say, okay, well, I was born in this neighborhood, or no one looked like me, or I may be the only female around, or, all of these, we tend to find these reasons why we can't achieve our goals, and the first thing that we do is we blame it on our environment. Yeah. But why? Why are you allowing your environment to be that much of an effect, and why are you allowing it to be a negative effect? See, everyone has a story. Yep. Everyone's been through something. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a mess, if you will, that they've got to get through.
Yep.
But here's the thing. One thing that we're going to help you with is your belief. Not just belief in what we do, but belief in self. See, when you can actually have that self-belief and that self-determination, which is what this navigator is ultimately going to do for you, that's going to make you pretty much ignore your environment. Right. And if we can help you understand who you are and who you can become, then no matter where you are, you're going to succeed. Because you will not utilize your environment as a problem, you're going to utilize it as a resource. Everywhere you go should be a resource to help you succeed.
Oh, wow. Okay, so now we've got environment, and we have natural resources.
Sure.
And can resource sometimes be something that someone meant as harm towards us?
It sure can. A lot of times, depending on what we're doing, when we're going after our goals, we need to understand that not everyone is going to understand. Write this down. Not everyone will see what I see. It's not what you see, it's what you're looking at. I use this term a lot. It's not what you see, it's what you're looking at. So when it comes to your environment, when it comes to your resources, a lot of people may not see what you see. What you have to understand is what they're looking at. See, they're looking at you like you're just beginning. They're looking at you like you can't do it. But the fact of the matter is they don't see what you see. And you have to understand they're not going to.
That's right.
So when it comes to the negative environment, you have to utilize that as a resource, because everyone around you may be able to be a resource to help you. So you have to really start to look at and absorb the resources and the environment you're in.
Oh, you so hit it on the head.
Absolutely.
And what you'll experience too is that you'll try to explain, what your big audacious goal
Sure.
is. You'll try to explain where you want to go, and people, they won't understand
Will
that,
not, no.
or they might say, "You're kidding me, right?"
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sure.
You know, some people that even your closest ones will literally not even hear
Yep.
what you're saying
All the time.
all the time. Yeah.
Every business venture was incorporated that. I always tell people, listen, when you start your pursuit for your dream or what you're passionate about, the ones that are closest to you the most will be the ones that verbally slap you in the face the hardest. They don't mean anything by it, but that's just how it goes. They don't see what you see.
Right.
Okay? They don't have your vision.
And I experienced that actually, and I've come to know now that really what happened is me leaving my comfort zone, I disrupted theirs.
Yes.
I disrupted their comfort zone, and
Yeah.
people will fight for their comfort zone.
Yep.
So me leaving my comfort zone disrupted theirs, and the people closest to me were actually probably the people that were most against me.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Several times I've seen this now, as people have said that so much they'll even get to the point that they'll tell you,
Yep.
that's not your place.
Yes.
You do not belong there.
Exactly.
You know, and in some of our societies in this world, there's still classes.
Yes.
You know, and many people will try to keep you down because you don't belong in that class.
Yes.
Only people of this class do what you're trying to do.
Yes.
You know, I think that's why we get so many people wanting to come to America,
Yes.
Yeah.
because
Yes.
class doesn't matter. There is no
Right.
class.
Right.
You know. Okay, so when we're moving from environment into resources.
Mm-hmm.
Help me out. Resources.
So, resources. Let's discuss the resources that you have right now to achieve the goals that you want. Solomon's Life and Business, we're a resource. We're a resource that you can utilize to help you achieve your goals. Other resources, the time you may have. We're going to help you understand the value of time. Not just the value of time, but how to actually find the time that you think you don't have. That's a resource. Your previous knowledge in whatever it is, we can actually leverage that as something to help you propel you into where it is that you want to go. So a lot of times we don't really see or understand the resources that we have right in front of us.
Wow. Okay. So does that mean I shouldn't go where I want to go because I don't have any knowledge or resources from that background?
No, it does not. What that means is you need to understand the people that are around you. See, the people around you can be the resource. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know the people to talk to help you get you where you want to go.
Right. Okay. Then what would I do then if, let's say I want to be an actor, but
Okay.
I don't know anybody who's even been in a play,
Sure.
let alone who's out on the big screen.
Yes.
What do I do?
So, what we're going to do is we're going to tap into as many resources as we possibly can for you. We all know the internet's out there. We all know that not everything on the internet is true, but it is a resource.
Yes.
The other thing that you can do is utilize your voice. Who can you talk to today that may lead you to someone that can help you?
Yeah.
See, it's not always about that first person you talk to. We've heard this term before. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
No.
Who do you know that may know someone else that can help you achieve your goal? That's what utilizing your resources really means.
So then it's being bold and it's engaging people.
Yes.
Okay. Because I think it's been said that you're only 7 people away from knowing everybody in the world.
Sure.
If that's true, then somewhere along that chain, somebody knows somebody who knows something.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
So exploit it.
Exactly.
Gosh, I think I'm going to get a lot of people telling me to stop doing what I'm doing.
Sure.
What do I do?
So, when it comes to the negativity, if we look at who you listen to, the environment you're in, that's where a coach or a mentor is there to help. Because we all get in those, let's call them dark places. Those gray areas where you're on that path and you have people that are saying that no, you can't do it, and they don't know your path, but they feel they do. It's about that comfort zone.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. When you have a mentor or a coach, that's where you can sit one-on-one. That's where you can get on the phone, get online. You can explain to someone else. One of the greatest therapies out there is just to get it out.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So if you have an ear to listen as a mentor or as a coach, then that helps you get it out, and that puts you right back on the right path where you need to go.
Yeah, I think sometimes even just saying it out loud,
Yes.
you hear yourself say it and you go, oh, I know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny that sometimes by the time I have the question out of my mouth, I've already come up with the answer.
Exactly.
While other people are trying to help me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's,
Exactly.
that's an amazing situation. If we're looking at your next section here, you list capital.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about money?
We are. We're talking about the situation where you have this big idea. This is what I hear a lot is, I've got this great idea, but I don't got the money. Flat out. I don't have the money. I don't know where I'm going to get the money. How do I get the money? No one will lend me the money. I try to go to banks. I just don't have the capital. And a lot of times we allow that to stop us from moving anywhere else, to move further in our goals or on our path. So
Shouldn't it?
well, it doesn't have to.
Ah,
See, now,
okay.
here's the part that I really want you to understand. Write this down. Get creative. Get creative. If it's capital you need, then we have to get creative on how we get that capital. A lot of times people say, well, I need this to invest in my dream, or I need this amount to invest in what it is that I want to do. So let's get creative on how we get the funding.
Yep.
So if no one is going to just give it to us, what do we have to do to earn the capital so we can invest in ultimately our dream?
Oh, yeah. I'm investing in my dream. Am I necessarily, buying things? Like, am I buying computers? Am I buying like this? Or where am I really starting?
Okay, so this is something that I know we've all experienced. As an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I haven't always had the money.
Right.
I had to come up with the money. I've had to find the money.
Yep.
Just like with trying to regenerate time, we've got to figure out how to generate this money that we're going to need. First things first is identify the amount that you need to achieve your goal. A lot of times people say, well, I want this amount of money. I want $1 million, or, this really big amount, but ultimately it's really not what they need to get them to where they want to go.
Right. I think that's a really important thing, because a lot of people will bring their goal or their dream half-baked.
Yes.
And they haven't really done their research. It reminds me of a story of a scout doing his Eagle Scout project.
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to get some resources from a guy who is known throughout the entire area.
Sure.
Of saying no.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But the guy's got so much that if he could convince him,
Mm-hmm.
he could fund the entire project and more.
Sure.
Okay? But what he did differently than everybody else is that he measured everything he needed. He went and researched how much the stuff weighs to find out how many truckloads he could get of what
Exactly.
he needed. He knew everything down to a couple of 100 pounds of everything that
Yep.
he needed. And so when he walked in to the to meet with this guy,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the guy was expecting just another scout,
Sure.
presenting this half-baked idea. In fact, the guy's dad is sitting out in the parking lot, and it's like he expected to be like 10, 15 minutes, get
Mm-hmm.
out of here, right? It's an hour and a half later, and he's still sitting in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So finally he gets out of the car. He's wondering if his kid's been stuffed in a closet or something, right? And he goes and just then sees the two shaking hands
Sure.
and agreeing on a funding. And this guy did it. I mean, he came through. It was amazing.
Yes.
So, I need to do my research.
Not only do your research, but fully understand the goal. People, they have these goals, they have these bags, but as I said before, a lot of people don't even know what's in the bag. And what I mean by that is, what is it required? What is it that you really want? A lot of times we're taught to get this job and design our life around the job, around the capital that we're making. But what I like to look at is, what is the life that you ultimately want to live? Let's design a life first, and then figure out the capital we need to live that life. Because that will make a happier person than just living the life that your capital provides. Completely different way of looking at it.
Oh, so I'm not, okay, so then a lot of people get this all wrong then. They look at the accomplishment, and they look at how much will it cost me to get this accomplishment. But you're saying first, along with your big audacious goal, is that you're saying that, hey, what kind of lifestyle do I want? You know, because I know some entrepreneurs that their companies are doing really well, but they take tiny little salaries.
Sure.
Okay, they're happy with that because they have a big goal in mind later on, and so they're happy. So what I'm hearing too, and at least in my mind, I mean not what you're saying, but is that I've got to also expense for the journey.
That is what I'm saying. Ultimately, the point is it's time to design a life that you don't need a vacation from. See, we set out to do the job to get the check.
Right.
The check provides a few things, and then we hope that we can take a vacation from that. But what if you could design a life you didn't need a vacation from?
That'd be good, yeah.
That'd be fantastic. Okay, so then if we can design the lifestyle first, then all we have to do is now go back and say, okay, this is what we need to do so I can live this life.
Yes.
And that's where our journey begins. And that's the journey that we're looking to help you achieve.
Absolutely. So what you're saying can actually reminds me of someone too, of myself. So when I was looking at opening Ninja Park, my company, I would try to explain this concept to people. And I got one response one time. It just really hit me. That it really hit me in the sense that I am not explaining this right. I don't know how to take this vision from my head and help other people see it, let alone create it.
Right.
So the response I got was, so you just want to work out your whole life? Is that it? Like shouldn't you go and get a job and set yourself up for success in some other way than that?
Exactly.
And what I did is that helped me come to the understanding that the capital that I did have, which was not enough, but the capital that I did have, I put in myself first.
Yep.
I invested it into myself. And I actually went through the navigator process.
Yep.
And by the end of it, I found that I could speak so clearly, that I could speak so concisely, that
awesome.
I would go back to the same people that I initially approached for capital, and they now became on board.
Yep.
And now I had far more capital than I ever started with, because I invested it in myself first.
Yes.
Now I've seen your navigator sheets, and so now there's a fair number of questions that we take you through in a navigator, but I would have to say that, I mean, you like wrote a book. I mean, you rewrote these and rewrote these. I mean, you didn't just start talking about what came off the top of your head to people, right?
Right. Well, you know, it said that brevity is the soul of wit. So that's Shakespeare. So the essence of a witty statement is in its conciseness and its delivery. So first, it would take me about 10 minutes to help someone really understand what I was trying to do. So and I wrote that down. And yeah, that was almost a book.
Yeah.
10 minutes of me speaking. Yeah, that was about a book. So after a while, it got down to a paragraph, and I would restate it, and I would restate it, and every time that I would restate it, it became better. It was less words, and it eventually got to a point where I can say it now with zero fat. There's not a single word that I can take out of that sentence.
Right.
And it's very concise.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's really, really good. So, and folks, viewers, you might be wondering, how do we get from capital to talking about very concise wording? Because when you do a stack in front of somebody, when you present your dream, your information needs to be very concise, and it will take you a lot to get there. When we were talking about how to define what Solomins is and does. I mean, really, we do so much. It could be, well, now an hour, seminar just talking about that. But when we came in together and we boiled down and we just said, well, it's just this. We take you from where you are now to where you want to go. What is your dream? What is your vision? What is this business that you want to have? And so that's that pathway. When we explain that to people, as yet, it has not failed at all.
Right.
Every time I explain that to anybody, they immediately tell me what their dream is.
Yep. It's awesome.
And so when you pull this together, when you get that statement and you present it to people, if it's boiled down right, they will respond the same way. They'll say, "How can I get it?"
Yep.
Exactly.
"Oh, I've always wanted that," or "Lead me to it."
Yep.
Right.
"Let me know when you have your first widget."
Exactly. Sure.
Right?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
And so
That's
we're looking here at the last one, and it's an association. That doesn't mean I belong to an association, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. When it comes to association, is who are you hanging around? As grown-ups, I find this hilarious. We tend to tell kids who to hang out with, the reason why they shouldn't hang out with others, and why they should hang out with the others.
Right.
The problem is that it still is a part of us. And what I mean by that is you need to be careful who you hang out with. You become basically just like the 5 closest people that you hang out with. And people don't realize that as we get older, we feel that we know it all, we know who we're hanging out with, and we can control how they're affecting us. But the fact of the matter is that's what you have to pay attention to. Right now, there may be someone that is toxic to you, that is actually infiltrating your dream and causing you to slow down. That is what I mean by association. I like to keep it very simple. I remember back in the old days when it came to McDonald's. Ronald McDonald actually used to have 4 other friends that he hung out with. But if you look at the commercials now, Ronald McDonald is by himself. You know why? Is because they were bringing him down. He's a lot happier clown now than he was before. Because he had to stop hanging out with those individuals.
Hamburglar?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All
He's a
of them.
burglar.
Exactly. Grimace. You don't see any of them anymore. And I like to use this illustration because
That's
we
really good.
remember when Ronald had friends. But the reason why Ronald doesn't have friends is because those friends sometimes are non-productive. They were not helping out the corporation. They weren't bringing in revenue. They weren't trying to be something that is uplifting. They were actually bringing down everything else. So now what I'm simply saying is even a clown knows who not to hang out with.
Right.
So I need you to be honest with yourself, and I need you to really understand this concept. Sometimes the closest people that are to us may not be the ones that will help us achieve our goal. And when you work with Solomins, we're going to help you identify these people. Here's the thing, they're not bad people.
Right.
We're not the company that is going to say, hey, don't hang around them. What we are going to say and suggest is that you need to identify the people that are here to help and the people that are here to hinder. And we need to look at the time that you're spending with both. We reduce the time from the ones that are hindering.
Yeah.
We increase the time with the ones that are helping. That's what I mean by association.
That was a good point. You diminish the time
Yes.
of those who are dragging you, back or around. It's interesting too because it's not like, again, as you point out, that these people are mean or nasty,
Sure,
or that they're subjugating, that they're trying to make you fail.
Right.
They just have other priorities, and their priorities will not be the same as yours if you're going after a goal.
Exactly.
It just never is. But there are people who you do want.
Oh, of course.
And what kind of people do I want in my association?
So when it comes to the people you do want to hang out with, here's the thing. They won't see your vision exactly, but they will understand. See, you won't find someone that knows and feels the exact same way that you feel about your vision or your goal. But what you will find is another person that has vision and has a goal. See, when you're around those kind of people, you begin to get more productive. See, it's brainstorming. You can be around people that you can get together, completely different goals, but because the association is there, that is another resource. That's where a mastermind comes in. That's where you can put people together and say, okay, what have you experienced?
Right.
Because we know that you're on the path to your dream. And you can take that experience, those suggestions, and now that association now is not just a room full of people talking. Now it's an uplifting experience. So now imagine being able to have an experience on a regular basis where you're not just talking, but you're communicating. And you're being able to visualize together. And you're able to brainstorm. And now that's where the resources come from. That's where the knowledge comes from. And when you have those, that takes you past the fear.
So we got some of this iron sharpens iron type thing. You know, just because people aren't in the same business you are doesn't mean that they're not appropriate, because it's that synergistic thinking that comes along with that. You know, I'm reminded of two things. One, if you play basketball with somebody who's a whole lot better than you, what happens?
You get better.
If you play chess with someone who's a whole lot better than you, what happens?
You get better.
Right. So if you're playing with people that are a lot better than you in business, they're a lot better than you. Maybe you're trying to do the downhill slaloms. You know, you get together with people who know that and like that, then you're going to get better.
You absolutely will. And Bill, when it comes to that, a lot of times people say, well, you know, you haven't been through what I've been through, so you don't know. Or a lot of times it's age. I'm older than you, so you haven't lived the way I've lived. And you have these concepts that have been really, to me, brainwashed into us, that if you haven't experienced the exact same thing, then I am no help to you. Here's the thing. The experiences haven't been the same, but the experiences could help you get through what you're going through. And that's what you really need to look at. When you're around people, everyone has a gift, everyone has a talent. But really the talent comes in is when you can recognize other people's talents and have that help you achieve your goal.
That's really good. So then it means I need to be a little bit curious.
Exactly.
You know, so it's because a lot of times in life we sit back and we just kind of watch.
Yes.
But when you're curious, when you have curiosity, that means that you're asking yourself some sort of question internally. You know, there's something that's driving you towards that.
A lot of times ego plays into it.
Really? How?
Yes. Ego plays into a lot of this. And what I mean by that is we tend to take the standpoint that either because someone's younger, because of where they're from, whether it be race, gender, anything like that, we tend to put ourselves here. And that ego is what really stops us from learning. The learning reduces the knowledge. The reduction of knowledge brings in the more explosiveness of fear. And then you're stuck.
Wow, okay.
So don't let your ego stop you from achieving your goal. It's time to shake the ego off and say, okay, I know that I have a lot in my head. I'm knowledgeable. I've got a degree. I've got, I have all this experience, but I'm failing somewhere. At Solomins Life and Business, we're here to help you understand who you are based on our experiences, because our failures can help you succeed. And that's really what we want to do.
Yeah, that's really good. Association is so very important.
Yes.
And it's a process. When it dawned on me that successful people are purposeful about making the decision of who their friends are going to be, I was speechless. I didn't realize that I should actually be deciding who my friends are going to be based upon where I want to go in life.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just like one of these things of, whoever I came in contact with, we just kind of got along. They're a buddy.
Yeah.
And
no, sure.
Well, that could be okay, but that also isn't supporting your life where you want to go. It's being objective. Now, a lot of people, you might think this is a kind of a cruel look on the world, but if you have a goal, if you have a place you want to be, if you have a family you want to take care of, then you've got to be focused on that. And there are a lot of good people that are doing the same type of things that you want to do. So you can make your decision based upon those who are going to take you away and those who are going to bring you in.
Yep.
Right.
It's just,
Yep.
and it doesn't have to be with money.
No, it does not.
It has to be with the ideas and the awareness levels and how they interact.
Yes.
Exactly.
And one of your first goals, if you really want to start in a really good place, is start writing down how many things that you can do for others. The more you can do for someone else, the better off it's going to be for you. Here's a term that I laugh at every time I hear it, right? Is that discussion around karma. See, I don't fear karma because I want to do for others. As I do for others, I want that karma back. See, when you're going after your dreams and your goals, please understand that the more you can help others, the more help you will get. And that's just how it goes. Mm-hmm. It is that energy that you're putting off that you want back. So if you want positive energy coming back, put positive energy out there. This is what, write this down. Random acts of kindness. Daily, perform some sort of random act of kindness and you will be amazed on what comes back to you. Now, here's the thing. Don't expect it immediately. Just expect it to happen. See, if you expect positive, you get positive. If you expect negative, guess what? You get negative. Yeah. So, start by the random acts of kindness. And from there, that's where it will help you get over your fears. It will help you understand what it is that you want to do. It will help you make the decision. I want you to write down why you want to go after what it is that you want. Write down a reason why. Have a demand on yourself. This is what I want. This is what I want to go after. And I'm not going to stop until I achieve it. Where Solomins comes in is at that point. That decision that you make, that action that you're willing to take, not just once, but on a regular basis. Here's the other thing. Write this down. Consistency matters. Consistency with everything that you do. If you are consistent in your path with a mentor and a coach is what we will provide, you will get to where you want to go. But you're going to have to take action. And it all starts with the decision.
And it's the decision of whether you're going to stay where you're at, not just physically, but mentally and your emotional makeup, or whether you're going to take the steps to bring you up to the level that really is going to make you a success and is going to take you to a place where, gosh, you may not have even been able to dream of.
Exactly. And Bill, I'll end with this. A lot of this starts with traditional ways of thinking. And I look at a lot of different traditions. Every family has a tradition and cultural traditions and things of that nature. I'm going to share a story with you, and it's about tradition and why sometimes traditions don't always make sense. Long time ago, a little boy was watching his mother make Thanksgiving dinner. And it was crazy. He watched the mother make this ham. And she looks at the ham, she cuts off both ends, she throws the ends into the trash. And the little boy knew he had watched her do this for a couple years now. So he thought he'd ask, "Mom, why do you throw the ham in the trash?" She said, "I don't know. That's the way I was taught. Go ask Grandma." Just so happened the little boy's grandmother was sitting in the other room watching TV. He simply said, "Grandma, why do you cut the ham off both sides of the ham and throw it in the trash?" She said, "I don't know. That's just the tradition. We've been doing it for years. That's the way I was taught." Well, it just so happened he called his great-grandmother on the phone. He says, Gram, I'm curious. I was watching Mom bake the ham and she cut both ends off, throw it in the trash. Why did you do that? She said, "Well, that was simple. My cooker was too small for the ham." Here's my point. Nowadays, things are changing.
Rapidly.
It's evolution. Stop throwing away the ham. It's time to look at where you are right now. It's time to look at your resources. It's time to gain the knowledge. It's time to look at the environment you're in. We're in a very productive environment. We have the resources. Yeah. Stop following the old traditions and throwing away ham, because ultimately you're throwing away portions of your life. We want to help you get that life back. We want to help you start a new tradition. What if starting today you took action and you took the tradition of success? You started the successful lifelong tradition that your kids' kids will then follow, and they will look back and thank you for taking the action today. And that's what we want to do with Solomon's Life and Business Development.
Absolutely.
So what you can do to help yourself is that in the funnel that you have, that you tap this video on, there's an area for you to enter your contact data. And you can go ahead and enter that information. We'll touch base with you and to see, hey, are we a good fit for you? And can we assist you in achieving your big audacious goals?
Yep.
And as a closing,
thank you. We appreciate the time. We really hope that you got something out of it. We're here to encourage you and help you understand that you have help when you want it. So, appreciate you. Take the time. Take action. Your dream is waiting for you. Thank you.